Sure. Hello everyone, this is Suresh Katukam, Director of Product Management for Campus Networking at Dell. And the two things I want you to really take away about the campus networking products are, one is we have very comprehensive and complete wireless, wired access and aggregation portfolio. 1 gig, 10 gig, access, aggregation, stackables, non-stackables. We have very comprehensive portfolio across wired and wireless. And second thing is, as Arpit mentioned, it's all about solutions. So what we have done is, as Amit also mentioned, we created these reference architectures, not only about networks, but also about the applications. So we have deployed, like, for example, application like Link, VDI, BYOD, bringing all of them together along with the networking and creating the reference architecture so that our customers can use these design guides during their deployment. It makes it easy for them to use it. Okay, with that, as many of you know that, we participated in the Gartner's Magic Quadrant last year. Well, that was the first time we participated, and Gartner recognized us very well. And in fact, they do recommend many a time that Dell networking should be considered for small to all the way to large campus deployments. Okay. Now, in terms of the portfolio, we have refreshed most of our portfolio, wired as well as wireless, in the last 12 months across 1 gig, 10 gig, as well as wireless. And we have complete portfolio again, wireless access, wired access, and wired aggregation switches as well. Right? In terms of the wireless, we are the number 2 vendor to bring the 11 AC integrated access point to the market. And as you probably know, we have the comprehensive BYOD solution along with the wireless, which is the ClearPass solution, and we have the we have the instant solution, which is small branch deployments where you don't necessarily need the controllers, and we also have the controller-based solutions. In terms of the access points, you have 11BG, 11N, 11AC, 2x2, 3x3, indoor, outdoor, integrated, internal and external antennas. So entire portfolio of the wireless access points as well as the controllers. You can go from all the way from 16 access points to all the way to 2,000 access points in a single audio controller, and it can support up to 2 million firewall flows. Okay, and in terms of the switching, we are just launching actually end of this month. These are available, and we call NSeries access switches. These are stackables, layer 2, layer 3 stackable switches, and we are the first ones to bring Broadcom based Helix 4 based switches to the market. So what it means is these are the most energy efficient Ethernet switches in the market. We support 80% triple energy efficient Ethernet. What it means is when a particular port is not connected, or a particular port is connected to, for example, voice or IP phone, but it's not in use most of the time. So when it's not used or when it's not connected, we can bring down the power consumption on that particular port by 80%. So we not only focus on the capex, but we also provide significant opex savings for our customers. And the third one is on the aggregation side. We also have 10 gig fixed form factor as well as the modular platform. And this product was introduced almost 7-8 years ago, well ahead of its times, and it supports 1.5 terabits per second backplane. And major sports broadcast company uses the entire network is based off of the CSeries platform that we have here.
Is that wireless platform, is that developed in-house or is that OEM'd by somebody?
So this one is an OEM partnership that we have with a partner. Yes. So in terms of the NSeries products, so these are the layer 2, layer 3 switches, and these are again 1 gig, 10 gig, and we also have in fact 40 gig uplinks on our aggregation platform as well. Right? And we can go up to 12 units in a single stack. Unlike 8 or 9, depending on the vendor you look at, we can go up to 12 units in a single stack. And these switches are based on carrier-grade Linux operating system. We are the first ones to bring carrier-grade Linux OS into the Ethernet switching in the campus side of it. Okay, what it means is reliability, high availability, all of that you expect in a carrier-grade switch. You have those capabilities in our operating system side of it, right? And other part of it is, SDN, as Arpit was talking about, all of our platforms do support OpenFlow across all of them, whether it's campus or data center, all of them support the OpenFlow. And other things we talk about in terms of the OpEx is all about deployment and interoperability. So in terms of the deployment, I talked about, energy efficiency, but we also do fresh air compliance. What it means is up to 50 degrees centigrade or 122 degrees Fahrenheit, you do not need external cooling on this. And in terms of the deployment, we learned quite a bit from our server folks, and we have something called rapid rails or ready rails on our platforms. You can see on the back side. What it means is you can rack and stack in less than a minute. You just snap it into an existing ready rails. So today, typically it takes about 13 to 15 minutes to rack and stack a single switch, and we brought it down to a minute. And in addition, if you have a remote location deployments, where you do not necessarily have config servers, image servers, if you do not have all of those, we also provide USB-based configuration. So you can give the configuration in a USB stick, you plug it into the switch reboots with the configuration off of the USB. Yeah. And in terms of the lifetime warranty, as probably many of you know that we have the real lifetime warranty. So as long as the product is owned by the customer, we continue to provide the lifetime warranty. It's not 5 years of 5 years after the end of sale, but it is as long as the customer owns the product. So you can see in terms of the CapEx, OpEx, we give significant value to our customers. Okay.
Now, one thing you blew through real quick there was OpenFlow support. Yeah, we're going to support OpenFlow. What's that mean? Because there's a real wide definition of OpenFlow support.
Sure. So today we support 1.2 and we're looking at supporting 1.3.
Yeah.
And we do interoperate. We do a lot of interop tests with, say, NEC controllers, big switch controllers, Open Daylight or Open Contrail. So we do this testing along with any of the controllers available in the market.
Okay. And then on Fresh Air, you commented on the kind of temps that those switches can run in and not have any issues. Does that impact mean time between failure, anything like that?
So up to 50 degrees centigrade, there's no impact on this MTTR or yeah.
And what are you seeing, to be able to actually do that in your data center, you need to have servers and storage and so on that can also run at an increased temperature. Are you seeing customers adopt this?
So this one is for campus products, so we're really talking about the closet-based switches.
Yeah, but that is true as well. So Dell has brought in the server, storage, and networking all at 50 degrees C, 90% humidity. Humidity is more important than the temperature itself, because that's where things start getting weird. So we run the entire data center off air conditioning, right? So we've started seeing that, especially in outside US where power is an issue, cost is an issue. So yeah.
Yeah, and in this specific application for this switch, you're saying it's a closet switch. It doesn't have a full rack of gear in it, so
Correct.
It's not really an issue. Yeah.
That's it.
So to piggyback on what he asked, what is your projected roadmap for OpenFlow 1.3?
So currently we are actively working on OpenFlow 1.3. So we're looking at probably in 6 months to come up with the 1.3.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So in terms of the operating system, I talked about that this is based on the carrier Linux, and also one of the questions you asked, what are we doing in terms of the Force10 integration? So if you look at Force10 has a technology called VLT, and we're bringing some similar technology to the campus side, MLAG, multi-chassis lag, very similar to the VLT technology that you find on the Force10 networks, Force10 products. And we have pretty much all of the layer 2, layer 3 protocols that you can expect, whether it's BGP, OSPF, all of these protocols are available. And we also support non-stop forwarding. Reliability, high availability is very important when customers are switching from one vendor to another vendor, and we definitely support all of this: non-stop forwarding, graceful restarts, loop-free networking, and of course when you do have MLAG, you do not really need STP. You could still deploy it, but it's active, not a active standby deployments. And in terms of the automation, we support Open Managed Network Management. So this is the tool that's from Dell Networking, and this one goes from campus all the way to the data center. So it can support wired, wireless, as well as all the way to the data center products. And
different APIs for area, or is it one unified schema?
Sorry?
In terms of campus versus data center versus wireless, do you have a set of tools that are standardized across all three?
It's single tool, OMNM tool, that can manage all of those, provide you monitoring capabilities across all of those things.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily, sometimes we have used SNMP, so depending on the product, we use different sets of APIs across the switches.
Okay.
And I hit upon the rapid USB deployment, and we also have zero-touch provisioning or bare metal provisioning, where the switch can come off of with no image or no configuration on it, and can boot off of the network. And in terms of SDN, again, we support all of the OpenFlow that we talked about it. And
could you go back a slide? One quick question on VLT. How many switches can you group together to spread links across?
So in terms of the MLAG, we group two of them together. And in terms of the VLT on the data center products, we are looking at extending beyond the 2 switches. And currently,
4.
we support 4 switches in a
Okay.
VLT.
Thank you.
So in terms of C-Series, again, it comes in multiple form factors, 9RU and 13RU. And again, as I mentioned, it's 1.5 terabits per second. This was launched 7-8 years ago, well ahead of its times when we launched the product. And several large size customers networks have used this one and currently running on top of this platform. And we continue to add more capabilities to this platform in terms of adding the 40 gig line card, 48 port 40 gig line cards, which can be broken into 4 times of 10 gig interfaces. And we are also adding, several of our customers started using this in the access layer as well, not just in the aggregation. So we are continuing to extend it to SFP plus and PoE plus line cards on top of this. Any questions before we go on to break?
I really like the way you're putting this together, like the whole networking. I love the room temperature stuff particularly,
Okay.
because that means I can go back to putting stuff in a cupboard.
Right.
And it doesn't cost a fortune like Amazon does.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
Right.
like,
And I think this is where the Dell innovation comes in, right?
Yeah.
All those fresh air cooling, component supply all the way down, right?
yeah, I've told a few people like that. I've said, you realize that expensive cooling and that air conditioner that costs you $1,000 a month to run, you just turn that off, right?
Yep.
And
Yep. just
just run it at room temperature. And because you've got storage and servers as well.
Yeah, you got the whole thing, the whole data
thing.
center.
So you don't
And
need
now
a
even
computer,
campus,
a
yeah.
chilled room to run, and you can get 1,000 VMs out of a single rack, easy.
Easy.
That changes the way some people look at compute.
Fair enough. Yep.
That also stops the fire drill when your cooling blows out and all of a sudden your data center is getting really hot. You don't have that big concern anymore if you're doing
Yeah.
things with fresh air cooling.
I like the energy efficiency. I guess I'm not bought into the clean air concept yet, because all this stuff generates heat, and you can start at a room temperature room and you're going to amp up the temperature in it. HVAC is not going away. I like the fact that you've got a buffer when the AC dies, that all your stuff doesn't crap within the first 30 seconds. I like that. I like the energy efficiency, but I'm not buying this model that we're going to have these giant data centers full of gear that just requires no cooling. I think that's a farce.
So I would probably send you a link on a couple of case studies that have put up data centers on a rooftop in Phoenix at 112 degrees on the terrace.
I'd love to be proven wrong. I mean,
No. I mean, so it's not obvious on how to do it, right? Because there is,
Yeah, you
airflow
still
involved.
need
I'm not
dust-free.
the expert.
You still need dust-free air.
I'm not. Yeah. So, but I think that is the direction we want to drive the industry towards.
I think it becomes more of an airflow problem rather
Correct.
than a cooling problem.
so it's a
It
matter
is
of
an
getting the
airflow
heat
problem,
out.
and there is,
Yeah.
and I'm not the expert, but there is,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's physics or whatever, but there is thermodynamics or whatever the branch may be
right.
involved in that. It's not.
And the networking part too. So I've just done a bunch of Dell deployments with Dell FTOS, right? And it's the price and the performance and the features really works for me.
Okay.
So the fact that we haven't got everything, right? There's not a kitchen sink in there like some vendors. Kitchen sinks, fancy spark plugs, gloves, dishwashing liquid. It's all in there. It's really just focused on the 80-20 rule. 80% of the value, 80% of the functionality for what I call the 20% of the cost, which is what I'm looking for. I just need networking these days for certain types of deployments. And once you get your VTAP out, I'll be extra happy. So hopefully that comes soon. So.
We know.